So this morning we're going to start in Shavasana, which is great. So we're just going to have the knees up, and although I'm going to be using a brick and a block today, I'm going to start with no block. So I can get my head, my neck into a nice alignment, but knees high. So wriggling out the shoulders and the hips, just letting the feet be a little wider than the hips and the shoulders. So you can get a little bit of a rhythm with that rock going through, loosen out the sides of the body a little bit. And then when we come to be finally steady, we prefer to have the knees rocking in just a little bit. And checking that the jaw is soft and the eyes are very softly closed. And just let all the muscles sink onto the mat. And observing if there's any areas where we feel a little bit tight or misaligned. Noticing the breath slow down. Heart rate stills. Take a little breath from here and just bring the fingertips onto the collarbones and then the elbows together in front of the chest. And we'll take some angel wings. So just draw the elbows up towards the sky, keep holding on to the collarbones, draw the elbows out towards the mat, and then slide the elbows in back towards the ribs and then across the chest. And when we're contacted against the floor, we really notice how much the spine moves around. Get a little arching in the back. Just moving very slowly with that breath. And we'll just take a couple of those in the opposite direction. So exhaling the elbows in towards the chest. And then a last time, just bringing the elbows in and let our hands come back down by the side of the body. We'll walk the toes in towards the center line and then draw that right knee in towards the chest. So we'll get hands around the shin a little bit and we'll lengthen out through the left leg. We're going to flex both feet, press out through the heels, toes up towards the sky, and allow that right knee then to sink a little bit more into the armpit area. We'll begin to draw the abdominal muscles down in towards the spine. So starting to strengthen and activate. And then we'll release, just slide the left foot in, cross over, take the hands around the shin or the back of the thigh. Again, we just allow ourselves to get comfortable, let the hip open out a little bit. And then when you're ready, we'll slide the right leg down the center line, we'll flex both feet, and then draw the knee a little more into the armpit, using the strength in the arms. And then we'll release there as well. Bring the feet back in. Let's have the feet close together, knees wide, arms out to the side. And we'll just shift the hips over towards the left a fraction and let the knees rock down towards the right side. We'll take this first spiral twist nice and gently, so we're just lengthening the hips away. And we'll draw back to the center. Take a little breath. Cross over to the second side. And then come gently back up. Now draw both knees in towards the chest. Bring your chin in towards the chest and then wrap your arms around the shins. You're going to try and get those forearms to wrap around so that knees are kind of going into the crooks of the elbow crease. A little rock from side to side. And then we'll let the spine down, keeping the hands on top of the kneecaps. So just make some nice big circles. So the big toe stays together, knees go forwards, and then as they draw back in, draw the belly in and lift the tailbone towards you. Let it slide back down to the floor. Draw it in as you exhale. Get that little bit of extra lift. Knees go wide. So it doesn't matter if these are sort of very round circles or a bit more rectangular. Could be the shape of your hips, could be that you're a little bit tight in the groins or the outer hips. And it might not be apparent until we started to do this. We'll take that the opposite direction, so exhale down the center line and weight. Inhale, draw the knees back in. A little bit harder to get the same amount of height and movement in the body. Last one. And then take the knees so they're directly above the hips, and then just lift the shins so they're parallel, pointing the toes out a little bit. And take the hands around the back of the skull, lightly interlacing the fingers, elbows out onto the floor. So really press them back, and then draw the rest of the spine into the floor as well to make contact. So we're just going to stay here for a little bit whilst we let the body kind of reposition itself, change our postural habits a little bit into a really nice flat spine. I'm already starting to work on drawing the core muscles down a little bit. We're going to take some crossovers, so we're going to take the left elbow across to the right knee as we lift the chin and then roll across, keeping the right elbow on the floor, and then thin the left leg out, and then we'll come back and we'll take the right elbow over to the left and back down. So we come down to the floor on each repetition. And nice and slow, so we get our money's worth. And then we'll just draw the knees in towards the body, roll onto our right side, use the hands to lift back up. So just coming into our seated posture, lengthening the legs out in front, just draw the flesh out a little bit so we can sit up nice and tight, tall. Backs of the legs, they're a little bit tight this morning, hamstrings. It's a combination of walking around in lots of mud at the moment, I think. Sliding around a little bit. Sit down, Daphne, just have the hands to the side, sit up nice and tall, flex the toes back, roll the shoulders out. Think about that postural alignment. And then keeping the belly drawn in, we're just going to take one leg out as far as we can to the side. We'll take the other leg out as far as we can to the side, toes still pointing up. Allow ourselves to take the hands out in front, and we're just going to make some little circles. So just start with tiny little circles. See how the hips feel about that and the lower back. Try to keep the body upright as we can. I've got an enormous feeling of cramp in my right hip, so I'm having to turn the foot out a little bit just to loosen that off. I'll bring that back in a second. We're going to try and keep the body upright and long. So we're not leaning too much or rounding the spine too much. This is really coming from the pelvis rocking around underneath us. So what we see above is a kind of a reflection. And then we'll take that in the opposite direction a few times. And then come back into the center. We'll just let the hands come underneath the knees. Lean back a little bit so we transfer the weight. We'll draw the heels underneath, crossing the ankles, and allow ourselves to roll up onto all fours. So we're back into tabletop. Stretching the fingers out a little bit. And we'll take the legs out as well and give them a stretch. So one leg at a time. And focusing on keeping the groins over the center line and the hips square and stable to the floor. So it's not just stretching out the legs, but we're working into the core muscles as well. Bring that knee down and swap it over to the other side. Just try and have the hands underneath the shoulders rather than the head. So getting used to the idea of stretching those legs out as straight as we can. Bring the knees back down onto the floor. And we'll take cat-cow, drawing the chest forwards. Exhaling, rolling the spine. Inhaling forwards. So we're going to try and think about the center of the spine. So somewhere between the chest and the belly button. And see if we can get the lift and the drop from there. So just connecting our mind and our body in a slightly different place to how I normally suggest. And we'll just sit back gently. Allow ourselves to find that block and place that underneath the bottom. Taking the legs out wide again, sitting up nice and tall, feet towards the sky, hands just in towards the heart, index finger points up. Now slowly inhale that hand above, or hands above the head. And try and draw the shoulders back. Lengthen out the arms so they're straight. Looks like this should be easy, but it takes a lot of strength through the core and shoulder opening areas if you haven't actually got a wall behind you, which would be an alternative to this pose, freestanding. Last breath in. Let the hands come down and take them behind. So fingers pointing a little bit. Lean back. Draw the tummy in towards the spine a little bit. Lift the chest. Keep the chin and chest connected. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. And we'll slowly lift ourselves back up. You can use the hands to just draw those legs back into a Dandasana shape so the feet come together to touch out in front. And we'll take it into a twist. So we'll take the right hand forwards over to the left. Now try not to lean back into this. We want to think about keeping the body very upright. And if it's easy in the neck to look over the shoulder, fine. But otherwise, just keeping your chin pointing the same way your heart is facing, more than enough. Keep the feet just a little bit flexed, lengthen out through the legs. Avoid pressing the knees down towards the floor. It's about lengthening them out, which means the front of the thighs as well as the back of the legs. Now rotate, bring ourselves back in to the opposite side. And release. Now we've got a tiny little bend into the knees. Bring the hands onto the shins. Lift the body up. Fold over slowly. Very slowly in my case. And then use the hands around the back of the ankles to draw the body forwards. So not down, just forwards. Try and lengthen out through the heels to let those legs straighten out a little bit more. Release from there. I'm going to take the hands behind again. Now allow yourself to take the toes and point them forwards. Chin in towards the chest. Lift the chest towards the sky. Squeeze the shoulder blades back and down. Draw the belly in. Going to slowly lift the hips up away from the ground. See if we get the soles of the feet to the floor, or as close as we can. Just pivoting on the heels, drawing the chest and the hips up. So reverse tabletop. You can lengthen the neck out rather than dropping, if you wish. Just following the line of the spine. It is a little easier to keep the chin in towards the chest. Last breath here. We ease ourselves back down. If we're lucky, we'll land on the block and sit ourselves up. We're going to cross the ankles over, draw the feet back in, roll forwards, take the block out to the side, bring the hands forwards, just untangle the ankles so we can sit back into a child's pose. Might want to take the knees a little wider and start to walk the fingers out. And then we'll walk the hands gently over to the right side, keeping them about shoulder distance apart. Just walking that left hand out a little further for a few more breaths here. And we'll start to take that across to the other side gently. And coming back into the center, lifting up about halfway, so just walking the fingers back in a couple of inches. We'll take the left hand underneath and slide that out towards the right side, and then ease the shoulder and ear down to the floor, and walk the right hand out. And with a straight arm, we're going to walk that over towards the left side of the mat. So we start to turn the body even more towards the right side into this twist. Try and keep the heels and the buttocks connected. Find some space to breathe. And we'll walk the hands back. Allow ourselves to lift up that halfway point that we had before. Take a breath, and then walking the right hand over to left. I'm choosing to have my palm down, but you could have the palm up. It's really more personal choice. You stretch the left hand out so it's fully extended, the arm, and then walk the hand over using your fingertips, just crabbing gently over to the right side to turn the chest around a little bit more. Gets a bit sticky. And then walking the hand back again to lift ourselves up. We'll come onto the elbows, draw the knees underneath and then lengthen them away so we can come down onto our bellies. Have the feet about hip distance apart. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders, elbows back to low cobra. So lengthen the legs away first, and then on the inhale we lift. And we keep the head in line with the spine, exhaling down. Just a few repetitions to warm the spine up in this direction. As As we come down to the floor, we'll take the hands back, palms down towards the ground for a locust pose. So we're going to lift the chest and the hands first. And down. We'll do 4 more of those. Inhaling up gently, a little squeezing the shoulder blades. Drawing hands back. 2 more. And last one. We'll go straight into legs, chest, and hands, lifting. So think about lifting the thighs rather than the feet. Two more. Try and keep the legs really strong and long. And last one. Now bring the hands back underneath the bottom of the ribs. Peel away from the floor and bring the knees forwards so we can sit back down onto the heels. And we'll take the hands out to the side and up, interlacing the fingers for swan flow. So draw the hands up towards the sky, draw the belly in, and then exhale slowly forwards. Letting the hands come down, and then rolling the spine back up. Inhaling high. And rolling it out. Do 1 more of those. Okay, lengthening the spine and the hands away, all the way down. We'll come up onto all fours, tuck the toes underneath when the shoulders are over the wrists, and lift ourselves into down dog. We'll walk the legs out a little bit for 30 seconds or so. Just opening the chest, getting those hips high and back. Giving a chance to check in with the hands, make sure they're flat to the floor, no gaps. The fingers are nicely spread. And then we'll come into plank. Roll over the toes a little bit so we can drop the knees. Sit back down onto the heels, head to the ground. Inhale, back up onto all fours. Roll the shoulders back, tuck toes, and move back into our down dog. We'll come into our plank again. Roll over the toes. Lower the knees, sitting back down. Lifting up on the breath in. Press away from the floor. Then tuck the toes and lift into down dog 1 more time. Lifting up gently. Now this time, we're going to tuck the toes underneath and just walk the feet in towards the front of the mat. Bring the hands onto the shins. Lift up halfway. Fold it down. Hands onto the shins. And fold it down. Now you want to have that brick to the front and just to the side a little bit of the mat. So as we lift up and shake it all out, if you need to go and find your brick, you can do. It just handily gives me enough time for a sip of water. So feet again, hip distance apart from some sun salutations. We'll take the hands high in towards the heart. Exhale over slowly, down to the floor. Drawing the belly in, lifting the hips high. We're taking the right foot back first. Dropping the heel in, ready for warrior 2. Bring the hands alongside the thighs to lift. And let ourselves open up. So just a few breaths here. A chance to square the hips so they feel like these bones are the same distance from the floor. If we're leaning forwards, one is going to be a little lower than the other. Hands are in line with the shoulders. Now we'll float the hands up, long straight arms, turn the body gently, keep the back foot planted, lean out over the front thigh, keep the knee over the ankle, bring the hands gently down, and then step it back into that high plank. We're going to take half plank and up dog. So knees can come to the floor if you wish. Otherwise, we push forwards on the tiptoes, elbows into the ribs, bootlaces change. Up dog, we stretch up. And then lift the hips gently, rolling them up in towards that down dog position. Now draw that right knee in towards the chest and bring the foot through between the hands on the exhale. Into lunge, drop the back hip down a little more, but press out through the back heel to a straight leg. And then push off the toes into the forward fold. Land the feet parallel and hip distance apart. Fold in tight. Bring the hands onto the hips, lengthen the chest. And then we'll take it to the second side. So inhale high. Exhale slow and low. Taking the left foot back into the lunge. And drop the heel in. Hands alongside the thighs. Then cartwheel it open. Turn the chest alongside, keep the groins open. So ankle, knee and hip alignment on that front leg. Back leg is pressing down so you can feel the thigh lifting and the buttock just squeezing in a little gently at the top. Take the hands high, straight, lengthen forwards. Bring the hands down gently. Step it back into the plank. And remember what we've got the options of: taking the knees to the floor. You push forwards on the tiptoes. Elbows into ribs. Bootlaces change for up dog. Exhale, bring it back up. We'll draw the left knee in, through on the exhale. Push off the back toes. Hands come onto the hips, we lift up. Inhale. So let's just add a little more into that. Exhale down. Right foot back. Into the lunge. We'll take the left hand up towards the sky into a twist. Exhale the hand down. Slightly trickier side. Take the right hand forwards and up to open into the twist. Bring the hand back down. Drop the heel in, ready for warrior two. Hands alongside the thighs. Cartwheel open. Hands to the sky. Rotate and lengthen out. Step it back into the plank. Half planks and up dogs. Remember the options. You lift it back as you exhale. Press the heels towards the back of the mat. Hands flat to the floor. Belly's drawn in. Shoulders widen. Thighs lift. One more breath. We draw the right knee in. Bring that through into our lunge. Push off the back toes. Land steady. Bring the hands onto the hips. Lengthen forwards to the left arm. Second side. Exhaling down. Left foot back. Right hand lifts for the twist. Comes down to the floor. Opposite hand lifts forwards and up is a little easier on the shoulders. Coming back the same way. Dropping the heel in. Hands alongside the thighs to open up into warrior two. Draw the hands high. Rotate the length of the body. Keep the front knee in position. Down into the plank to step it back. Come forwards into the half plank. Take the up dog. Strong legs. Lifting the hips high on the exhale. Back into our down dog. And draw that left knee in, through into the lunge. Take a little breath. Allow ourselves to step forwards. Hands on the hips. Lengthen the spine to lift up. And we'll just take the hands high in towards the heart. Give it a little shake out. And we'll bring that brick into the front of the mat, center line, high setting. We're going to bring the hands in towards the heart. We're going to step out towards the right. So a nice big step. Just wiggle the feet out. Allow yourself to take the hands into a star position. Going to turn both feet towards the front of the mat. Take a little breath. Sink into warrior two. So I want to feel both legs working evenly. So sense of pressing down. And then we're going to extend forwards. Find the brick. Bring it onto the inside of that front ankle. Heel a hand down. And then slowly allow ourselves to straighten the front leg. Now I'm going to wrap the top arm around and see if I can get the fingertips onto the thigh. Lengthening the body out of the pelvis. Trying to open up the shoulders. Pressing into the big toe on the front foot. One more breath. I'm going to soften the knee on the exhale. Allow myself to move the brick out of the way. And come back up into the warrior two. Take a little breath. Now I'm going to draw the hands high. Rotate. And as I do, I'm going to spin the back heel up. Let the body lean forwards. Drop the hands down. And then float the arms forwards. Whoops. To try and step forwards, not like I just did. So the idea is to come up to the front of the mat. So speaking and doing, obviously not something that's going to work this morning. Bring the hands back in towards the heart. Going to take the big step out to the left side. Again, wiggling the feet out nice and wide. Taking the hands into that star position. Just relax the shoulders once they get there. Down a little bit. Turn the toes. Front of the mat, sink into warrior two. Again, really thinking about the weight in both legs. So you should be able to feel this buttock on the rear leg lifting up a little bit, and this back thigh activating as much as the front leg. You're going to extend forwards. Find that brick. Bring it into the ankle. Straighten the front leg. Take the top arm up first, open the chest, and then wrap the hand around slowly towards the front thigh. Let the chest open up. Remember, big toe is where the balance comes from in that front foot. The advantage of having the brick underneath gives us a little bit more balance. You want a sense of the sides of the body feeling like they're lengthening out of the pelvis and doing a little bit of lifting and work. That back thigh should still feel like it's lifting up a little. Nice safe opportunity to open the back of the leg on the front foot. One more breath. We'll soften the knee, take the brick forwards again, come back up into our warrior two. Take the hands high, rotate gently, spinning the heel on the back leg. Lean forwards, let the hands come down, swoop the arms forwards, and we'll step through. A little bit better, but still some work to be done on that. Bring the hands in towards the heart, exhale down towards the floor. And we're just going to step it back. Bring the knees down to the ground. And we'll take the feet out to the side, just pivoting on the knees. Block comes back underneath. And let themselves lift up. I'm going to take the left foot underneath into a twist. So the left knee's pointing forwards. Right leg comes over. And I'll take the left hand up. Rotate over towards the right. Let the hips and the pelvis move forwards a little bit. So open the back up. And rather than having this hand at the back on the floor, I'm going to take the palm and press it into the back of the pelvis and just encourage the pelvis to sit up nice and tall and roll the shoulders around at the same time. And we can release. We'll take the legs out. Swap that to the second side. And again, remember we're taking the hand round into the back of the pelvis. Just a little bit of encouragement. Lift it up a little bit, draw it forwards. Turn the body into the twist. See how that feels. And release. Just bringing the heart back towards the front of the mat. Lengthen the legs out. We'll just move on to the front of the sitting bones a little bit. Tiny bend into the knees, hands onto the shins, flex the feet back, lift up. And we'll slide over again. Now this time, hopefully we'll be able to get a little further, a little deeper into the pose more comfortably than the first time we did this. And squeeze the thighs together a little bit. Draw the chest forwards again. So although we're using, in my case, the hands around the sole of the feet, I'm actually drawing the chest forwards. And that results in a little bit of down. Drawing the belly in tight towards the spine and squeezing the thighs together with a surprising amount of effort as I want to roll out the outside. I'm going to release from there, bring the hands back. And as I do, I'll just draw right heel into the groin for Janu Shastasana, knee to the floor. Check that this thigh is pointing up towards the sky. Lengthen the body, hands onto the shin, and fold it over this side. See how we get on. Maybe taking the hand around the foot again to help draw ourselves forwards and up. Press out through the heel and send the hip back on that left leg. take it to the second side. So legs together, heel into the groin, square the hips as they turn out, tend to be the option that happens. Hands onto the shins again, we'll lift the spine up, get some space in the hips to fold over the thigh. Take the hands out to wherever you can. Draw the chest forwards, draw the belly in, press out through the heel, draw the hip back. Keep the head in line with the rest of the spine. Avoid dropping. And we can release from there. We can take both feet forwards. Bottoms and heels get connected. Going to roll down gently. Going to move the block out so it's underneath my head. Now I'm going to come into happy baby just for a little while. Going to draw the knees in towards the body. Take the hands down the shins. Wrap around the outside edge of the toes. And then slowly bring the soles of the feet to the sky. And then once you've done that, try and relax the shoulders, even though the grip is strong, and draw your tailbone to the floor. So as you try and get the muscles inside the pelvic girdle to cooperate and lengthen the spine out, you'll feel the extra little stretch going on in the groins and the hips. And then we'll release the feet. We're going to come into a spinal twist. So knees stay high, and then we're going to walk the feet out, just drag them to the edges of the mat. So TPing the legs, take the arms out wide, and then we'll scissor over towards the right. And letting that bottom leg just sink down, and then flexing both feet, lengthening the hips away. Knees off and bring the knees back. Take it to the second side. Once the legs have gone down as low as they can, and flex the feet. Try and keep the shoulders relaxed. Quite often I find when I flex my feet, my whole body kind of joins in. I really just walk from the waist down to feel like it's engaging a little bit more. And then lengthening the spine and the hips away. And then we'll come back into the center. Now I'm going to take the block out from behind the back of the head so I can lay flat to the floor for bridge and bring the feet in a little bit more, hip distance apart, toes in, heels out, palms down. Let's wrap the shoulders underneath a little bit more, draw the belly in, and then slowly lift the hips up, press the knees forwards, lift the chest towards the chin, roll the shoulders under a little more, and then a little more, and then if it feels good you can just bring the hands together, interlace the fingers underneath the body, take the little finger underneath if you need to, and let yourself work on lifting the hips higher as the body opens up. So it kind of has to give you some space for you to move into rather than you try to bully your way in. And we're trying to lengthen the buttocks away and the thighs. Pressing evenly into the feet, so the muscles down the sides of the inside and outside of the shin, and across the shin and the back of the calf, and feel like they're working at the same level. One more breath, and then we'll roll the spine gently down to the floor as we release the hands. Once we arrive, we'll zigzag the toes back in onto the center line. And draw right knee in towards the chest, take the hands around the back of the thigh and extend the leg up towards the sky. Foot is flexed. Try and straighten out. Lengthen the left leg down the center line. Again, lengthening out through the heel, toes towards the sky. And then we'll release that foot down. Draw in the other leg. Swap over, so we'll bring the hands again around the back of the thigh. Nice and low. Lengthen the leg towards the sky. And slide the heel of the right leg down. Center line of the mat. Two legs as straight as you can make them be. Use the core muscles to draw the spine a little closer to the floor, the belly in towards the spine to help with that as well. Keep the spine and the neck nice and long. Last little breath. And then draw both knees in towards the body. As you do, take the hands up towards the sky and let the hands float towards the back of the mat. Now the idea is to get the arms on the ground behind you, which may mean that you need to take them out quite some distance to the side. Some of us are going to be able to bring the shoulders directly behind in a nice straight line down, running down the sort of center line of the mat. But some of us have got different types of shoulders and we've got bones and muscles in the way that mean you have to go a little bit more Y-shaped. We'll squeeze the knees together, point the toes away, draw your lower back into the floor, and then extend your legs up towards the sky into a straight position. Now try and keep the shoulders relaxed, but the belly and the spine drawn down. We're going to keep the legs straight and then just flex the toes down and then point the toes away. Inhale, draw them down. And lift them up on the exhale. Inhaling down. And up. Down. And up. And down. And up. And down. And up. Got about another 20 seconds. So the body's having to work quite hard, and trying to keep the shoulders relaxed becomes more of a challenge. We've still got the legs flex or feet flexing. So we're having to focus in a lot of different areas at the same time. And then we can bring the legs back down to the ground. Take the arms out wide. Take a little breath. Walk the feet in towards the bottom. Taking the left leg up and crossing that over the right. We'll shimmy the hips over towards the left and let the legs drop down towards the right. So again, we're just taking the spinal twist a little further. And we'll lift back up, drawing the core in a little bit, realign the hips, lengthen the legs out, shake it out a little bit, take the right leg up high, cross it over, take a little breath, shimmy over to the right, drop the legs to the left. And come back to the center. Realign hips, shake out that leg. Feet to the floor. I'm going to take my block back underneath the back of the head. Slide the foot out to each corner edge of the mat. Hands come alongside the body, palms face up, and then just wiggle the shoulders out and the hips, lift the spine. Let in the heart, just lift up as the body sinks. Closing the eyes and soften the jaw. We'll slowly start to stretch those fingers and toes. Breathe a little deeper as we start to move the wrists and the ankles. Take a bit of a stretch. And then ease the knees in towards the body. Final hug, rock and roll, whatever feels good. And then we'll roll onto the right side, take a breath on the floor. And then exhale to lift up. And sitting nice and tall. Bring the hands towards the heart as we take a breath in. Closing the eyes, we drop the chin, bow to the floor, sealing our practice. Inhaling, lifting high. Namaste. Thank you for joining me.